You're watching this special broadcast of the Buck Stops here. We are on the road to 2014 and tonight our stop is in sugarcane country. We're broadcasting live tonight from Muzaffarnagar. We're at a dhaba in Muzaffarnagar and right behind me, of course, are the famed sugarcane fields of western Uttar Pradesh. But of course, the irony of life is this, that in the land of sweet sugarcane, politics remains bitter, it remains volatile, it remains vitriolic and it remains divisive. This, of course, is the region where most recently Amit Shah, the BJP's master strategist, made speeches that has got him into potential trouble with the Election Commission. There are FIRs booked against him and the Election Commission has also issued notices to Amit Shah asking him to explain his references, one of which was describing this election as an election for Badla. Here in the shadow of the riots are still stalking the politics. Almost every candidate, every party is mixing religion with politics. On the program today, we'll be asking whether on a day that the BJP releases a manifesto, the bulk of which focuses on the economy, on science and technology, on tourism, on 100 new cities, leaving just half a page for the Ram Mandir and issues related to identity politics. Is this election campaign going to be all about development, or is it about polarized politics, or is it a mix of both? That'll be our special focus with ground reports and voices from the people. Also coming up on the program today, a very interesting chai stop. Our chai stop today, well, it's straight from the Ganne Ka Khet. We are asking the people here, why are politicians succeeding in dividing people? Why aren't people pushing back against this attempt to create a tear in the social fabric? हम हर कम्युनिटी के लोगों को यहाँ पे लाए हैं अपने चाय स्टॉप के लिए। यहाँ पे हमारे जाट भाई भी हैं, मुसलमान भाई भी हैं। आप क्या बोलेंगे कि लोगों के बीच में है दरार क्या आज?
मैडम, यहाँ पे दरार नहीं है। यहाँ पे मुजफ्फरनगर जो है मोहब्बत नगर है, लेकिन इन नेताओं ने मुजफ्फरनगर को नफरत का नगर बना दिया। इन लोगों ने राजनीतिक मुद्दा इन लोगों का, ये वोट बटोरने के चक्कर में हम लोगों को लड़ाते हैं, जबकि हम ऐसे लोग हैं कि हम आपस में मिलजुल कर रहना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ये लोग नहीं रहने देते।
Remember, this is the program where we're never in the studio, always in the field, and you hear voices that you typically never hear in Delhi. We've taken the program on the road, and that chai stop from the Ganne Ka Khet is coming up in about half an hour from now. As we ask from Muzaffarnagar tonight in 2014, the year of development politics, or does polarization continue to shadow these elections? At least here in Western Uttar Pradesh, polarization is a crime that every single political party is guilty of. But let's bring you up to speed with our top political story tonight, and that is, of course, the BJP's manifesto. It came after a delay, it came after major speculation as to why the delay was caused. It came with TV channels having to take a difficult decision vis-a-vis the Election Commission directives. But it has come, and it is a very interesting manifesto because it talks about 100 new cities, it talks about fiscal autonomy for the states, it talks about brand India and a tourism agenda for India. It talks about FDI, opposing it in multi-brand retail but allowing it in other sectors. And interestingly, while it does talk about the Ram Mandir and protecting the cow and Ram Setu and the Uniform Civil Code, most of these issues related to identity politics only find a half-page mention towards the end of the manifesto. What does this signify? What does this signify? It's a particularly interesting question as we travel through Western UP, where, as we've said, every politician, every party is guilty of polarization at a time when even Amit Shah is facing an Election Commission notice. My colleague Rahul Srivastav, somebody who knows both the BJP and Uttar Pradesh better than anybody else. Rahul, what's the big takeaway from the BJP manifesto?
Barkha, this 42-page document is not just a list of promises. What top sources in the BJP are saying, that initially when it was prepared by a committee headed by Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, some leaders are of the opinion that it resembles more of a Dhobi list of a BJP promise. The crisis happened when on the 31st of March it was brought up before the parliamentary board of the BJP. There was a clear opinion by Narendra Modi and others that this needs a rewrite. It was taken away. In fact, we are told that all the files were taken away and a rewrite happened. It was supposed to become crisper, leaner and meaner. Now, if we look at the manifesto, it is not just promising certain elements to the voters. It in fact has been carefully tweaked in a direction that eventually it talks about more solutions to the crisis the BJP claims the UPA has created in the last 10 years. It talks about all the sectors. It talks about an economic revival, not just growth. It talks about agriculture in terms of solutions. What is also interesting is that if you go through this entire manifesto, you come to page number 41. And page number 41 actually talks about all the pet issues and the projects of the Sangh Parivar. The Ram Mandir issue, if the 2009 manifesto talked about the BJP facilitating construction of a Ram temple, this time it says within the constitutional framework. If on Article 370, the BJP in 2009 talked about how it is totally against it and is going to repeal it, this time it's softer. On Uniform Civil Code, last time the BJP promised a commission to write a Uniform Civil Code. This time it says it needs to harmonize to modern needs. These are elements which clearly indicate if there was a divide which led to a delay, it was largely an attempt to keep the Swadeshi or the Sangh influence away from the manifesto. Perhaps in sync with what Narendra Modi has been doing, trying to stick to the development line, staying away from the Hindutva elements. In the end, a lot of BJP leaders saying it's more of Moditva than being a Modi fest than a manifesto. Eventually, the last statement from Narendra Modi, perhaps indicates the discomfort.
Yes. No, I was just going to ask you, it's very interesting that you should say that it's about Moditva, not Hindutva. It's a Modi festo, not a manifesto. It's development trumping identity politics. But when Narendra Modi said today that I promise, he made 3 promises and he said that I will never act with ill intent towards anybody or anything. When you juxtapose this manifesto and those comments with the Election Commission notices to Amit Shah, who's his close aide, who's really master planning the whole campaign here in Uttar Pradesh. How do you see what's happened with Amit Shah's speeches here in UP and the BJP manifesto and what Mr. Modi said today, Rahul, briefly?
Barkha, I will say that since the Mahakumbh at Allahabad, since that time it has become very clear that the BJP and the Sangh Parivar are going to operate 2 parallel lines. Narendra Modi is going to stick to the development agenda because that's what the BJP perceives and the Sangh perceives is the need of the hour. That's what the voters are looking for. But on the other hand, if you look on the ground, the RSS is carrying out a strong campaign for the BJP. The Muzaffarnagar riot accused were felicitated by the BJP in Agra. They have been given tickets, and now this statement by Amit Shah. What is very clear, Modi will stick to development while others in the BJP and the Sangh Parivar will keep providing the Hindutva tadka to it.
A very interesting strategy, some would say, and perhaps even well thought out, that the main national focus remains on development, whereas in pockets the soft Hindutva line can be brought in, and in places like Western UP, Rahul, of course, we are seeing many more strident speeches from politicians of all political parties. Rahul Srivastav, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed on the BJP manifesto. Now turning our focus to our special ground report. We've of course been traveling through Western Uttar Pradesh. This is sugarcane country everywhere you look. In fact, even tonight the sugarcane fields are right behind me, and it's really a beautiful part of the country. But there's something almost ironic and misleading about how calm, how placid the sugarcane fields look in the dappled sunlight, because what lies behind this is a veritable battle zone. A battle zone where even now wounds are fresh and new injuries are being delivered by the politics of polarization. Every politician is guilty of this politics of polarization. Whether it is Kader Rana, the sitting member of parliament of the Bahujan Samaj Party, who, as you will discover in this report, makes an extremely provocative speech asking for votes in the name of religion, or of course the controversy that Amit Shah finds himself in after his speech here in Shamli, where of course he not just referred to Badla, but he also refers to the pink revolution and how people who were once beggars, he says, have now become really rich because of what he calls butcher khanas. Every party we found here, at least in Western UP, is playing the polarization card. Our special report.
ये चुनाव सम्मान का चुनाव है, साथियों, सन 47 में नहीं हो पाया ऐसा जैसा आज आपके साथ हुआ है।
वो जो दहशत पैदा करने अमित शाह आया है, 302 का मुजरिम अपराधी गुंडा नंबर 1 का।
Beyond the stereotypical images of glossy urbanization that are visible everywhere on the highway to Muzaffarnagar, and behind the sun-draped beauty and seeming calm of the sugarcane fields of western Uttar Pradesh lies a battle zone, where the wounds are fresh and politicians across parties deliver new injuries every single day. The shadow of the past stalks the political present here. The riots of 2013 are a rallying point, literally. Over the noise of competing slogans from workers of the Bahujan Samaj Party, whose sitting Member of Parliament Kader Rana is among those charge-sheeted for his role in the 2013 riots, is the BJP's candidate in the adjoining seat of Kairana, Hukum Singh, also named in the riots. He is campaigning door-to-door with another riot accused, BJP MLA Suresh Rana. Though the state of the treacherous pothole roads that connect the inner villages of the region is the most common complaint of voters here, the BJP's battle plan has an interesting and emotional war cry. This election, they say, is about Swabhiman, not Sadak, respect, not roads. बीजेपी के नेताओं ने ये भी कहा है ये सिर्फ सड़क के लिए चुनाव नहीं, ये स्वाभिमान के लिए चुनाव है। किस तरह से?
स्वाभिमान के लिए चुनाव तो ये हो गया कि जब यहाँ के जो बहुसंख्यक हैं उनको आप लगातार अपमानित कर रहे हैं।
किस तरह से?
इस तरह से कर रहे हैं
क्योंकि रिलीफ कैंप में तो मुसलमान कहते हैं हम ही बैठे हैं।
रिलीफ कैंप में वो बैठे हैं तो उनको सुविधा उपलब्ध कराए, हमें कोई इसकी दिक्कत की बात नहीं। रिलीफ कैंप में क्यों बैठे हैं अब तक? ये प्रदेश सरकार की सफलता नहीं कि रिलीफ कैंप में अब तक बैठे हैं। 8 महीने में आप उनकी भी व्यवस्था नहीं कर पाए। किस प्रकार की सरकार ये है? अगर उनकी व्यवस्था कर देते, कौन पूरे भारतवर्ष में कोई सरकार ऐसी है जो 8 महीने में एक जिले को भी न संभाल पाई हो?
आप कह रहे हैं कि यहाँ मेजॉरिटी का अपमान हो रहा है, बताइए किस तरह से? इस तरह
से मेजॉरिटी के ऊपर झूठे मुकदमे कायम किए गए। जो लोग हैं भी दुनिया में मौजूद, उन पर बलात्कार के मुकदमे कायम किए गए। 70 साल के लोगों पर बलात्कार के मुकदमे कायम किए। अपमान नहीं, और इससे ज्यादा बड़ा अपमान क्या होगा?
Electioneering in West UP has of course catapulted the entire region into the national headlines after BJP's master strategist Amit Shah's recent speeches in this very area of Bijnor and Shamli have now been confronted with a notice from the Election Commission.
प्रशासन अपना काम नहीं करता, तब जनता को मजबूर होकर मां बेटियों की इज्जत के लिए रोड पर आना पड़ता है। बाकी दंगा करने का किसी को शौक नहीं है।
The rest of Amit Shah's speech, which famously spoke of a badla or revenge for injustice, takes the 2013 riots head-on. And taking a cue from the BJP's prime ministerial candidate, there is also a swipe at meat exports and those who have made their money from slaughterhouses.
Pink revolution, pink revolution.
इतने कतल खाने बना दिए, इतनी सब्सिडियां दे दी, इतना मीट को एक्सपोर्ट करने की परमिशन दे दी कि आज पशु दिखाई नहीं पड़ता है। किसान बेरोजगार हो गया, किसान गरीब, भीख मांगने वाले अरबोपति हो गए, बुचक खाने डालते डालते भीख मांगने वाले अरबोपति।
At a time when the BJP has mostly modelled its national election campaign on issues of development, several Muslim leaders we meet say that the Pink Revolution remarks are a veiled attack on their community.
But political leaders claiming to represent the Muslim community stand on weak ground in their criticism of the BJP because they themselves have been making speeches that are both provocative and inflammatory.
In fact, many Muslims squarely blame the ruling Samajwadi Party for failing to protect them. But the party leadership remains both defiant and brazen.
वो जो दहशत पैदा करने अमित शाह आया है, 302 का मुजरिम अपराधी गुंडा नंबर 1 का।
Off the Muzaffarnagar highway, a 40-minute drive takes you to Shahpur, where tarpaulin tents and open fields are still home to roughly 200 Muslims who were driven out of their homes by the violence last year.
Though some have bought land with the compensation money given by the government, others say they are yet to receive any help. Either way, even if home in some cases is just 5 kilometers away, these men tell us they can never go back. This woman's 16-year-old daughter Samina has been missing since last year's riots. She now believes Samina is dead. Her family says this election is meaningless for them.
जो लोग आपस में दरार पैदा करते हैं इस तरह की बात करके उन लोगों को वोट ना दिया जाए, हमारा तो मानना यही है।
आप सभी पार्टी से नाराज हैं?
जी हाँ, हम लोग सभी पार्टी से नाराज हैं, क्योंकि हमारा मतलब देखो मुलायम सिंह यादव जी हैं, यहाँ पे बच्चे कैंपों के अंदर मर रहे थे, उस वक्त में वहाँ जश्न मन रहा था, 225 करोड़ रुपए खर्च किए और इन झुग्गी वालों के लिए 90 करोड़ की घोषणा की, वो 90 करोड़ भी पूरे नहीं दे सका। और वहाँ पे यहाँ बच्चे मर रहे हैं, वो कह रहा है कि बच्चे तो महलों में भी मरते हैं। हमें मालूम है हम किस तरीके से यहाँ जिंदगी गुजार रहे हैं। कोई हमारी खैर खबर नहीं लेने के लिए आया, न कोई मुलायम आया, न कोई भी मतलब किसी ने भी आज तक कोई सहायता किसी भी प्रकार की हमें नहीं मिली। हमसे यहाँ झोपड़ियों में पड़े, हमें 8वां महीना लग चुका है।
तो वोट डालेंगे आप?
जी नहीं, हम तो अगर वोट डालेंगे तो नोटा का बटन दबाएंगे, नोटा का। जी नहीं, किसी को वोट नहीं देंगे।
Others say that leaders who never showed their face during the riots are now tripping over themselves to court the Muslim vote.
सभी पार्टियों से नाराज है, क्योंकि जब दंगे हुए तब ये पार्टियां कहाँ थी? जब दंगे हुए तब ये पार्टियां कहाँ थी? अब लोकसभा के चुनाव नजदीक आए तब ये अपना सभी वो सिक्का जमाने लगे कि जो है हम आपके हमदर्द थे और दंगों में हम आपके साथ थे, लेकिन उसने ऐसी कोई भूमिका नहीं निभाई तब। अब तो ये वोट मांगने के लिए आ रहे हैं कि अब ये हम मुस्लिमों की हितैषी हैं। अब ये बसपा भी कह रही है, सपा भी कह रही है और अन्य कांग्रेस भी कह रही है कि हम जो है आपके हितैषी हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने जब दंगे हुए तब ये पार्टियां कहाँ थी?
Here in sugarcane country, we're less than 3 hours away from the national capital, where television studio debates and newspaper editorials routinely focus on the fact that the 2014 campaign is about governance, about aspirational India, about administrative efficiency rather than identity politics. But you travel to the interiors of western Uttar Pradesh, where we are, where the wounds of the Muzaffarnagar riots are still raw and the fault lines still deep. And you realize that at least in this region, the politics of polarization is at play, more so than issues of Bijli, Sadak and Pani.
In villages like this one in Lakhbawadi, these burnt abandoned homes once owned by Muslim neighbours today lie empty, testimony to the unravelling threads of the social fabric. Though everyone agrees that the past before the riots was peaceful, they also agree that the future is tense and uncertain. In the Jat-dominated village of Khakra, there is still an air of mourning. 3 of the village elders were killed last year as they were returning from attending one of the contentious meetings of the Jat community. As Mahindra Singh's grandson silently shows us photographs of a grandfather he will never meet again, his son Ashok quietly says that though his father was brutally murdered, he does not want any politics in his memory.
विकास की बात तो कोई नहीं करता, दंगे को एक प्रकार से ज्यादा सेटिस्फाइड कर रहे हैं।
दंगे पे ज्यादा जोर दे रहे हैं।
दंगे पे ज्यादा जोर दे रहे हैं कि ये एकता बरकरार ना हो, ये ऐसे ही फाड़ करते रहे और अपने तुम फायदा उठाते रहो। मोमडन है तो मोमडन की बात करेगा, कोई हिंदू है हिंदू की बात करेगा, लेकिन यहाँ के मोमडन और हिंदू जितने भी है वो इतने बेवकूफ भी नहीं है जो नहीं समझते, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है।
आप ये कह रहे हैं, बड़ी आप मतलब गुस्से के बिना बात कर रहे हैं, इसके बावजूद कि आपके खुद के पिताजी मारे गए इन दंगों में, तो आप में इतनी एक तरह से सहानुभूति कहाँ से आई? इतना एक आप गुस्से के बिना कैसे इस मामले को देख पाते हैं?
देखो एक हादसा था, ये चला गया, बार बार रिपीट करना कोई ठीक तो होगा नहीं।
जी नमस्ते।
But right next door, others are more blunt and forthcoming about the impact that the riots have had, both on their political choices and their social responses. In the home of Rajveer Singh, also killed in the riots, his nephew argues that whether it's compensation for the riot affected or cases against the riot accused, he believes the response of the state government has been selective and discriminatory. He tells us that though the village used to vote for Ajit Singh's party, now it will be Narendra Modi all the way. On both rioted homes, the BJP flag today flies high.
तो वो जो गुस्सा था वो अभी थोड़ा कम हुआ है दोनों कम्युनिटीज के बीच में?
अजी कमी है, पर मैं अपने को वोट देंगे, हम अपने को मुस्लिम को वोट नहीं कर सकते। हिंदू की धर्म है, मुस्लिम को कैंडिडेट को वोटिंग नहीं कर सकता अपना।
आप मुस्लिम कैंडिडेट को वोट नहीं दे सकते?
नहीं दे सकते।
और वैसे उठना बैठना?
उठना बैठना कुछ नहीं, ताल्लुकात खत्म है हमारे।
खत्म है, खत्म बिल्कुल। पर मुझे ये बताइए, आपने कहा कि आप कभी किसी मुसलमान कैंडिडेट को वोट नहीं देंगे, दंगों से पहले देते थे?
हाँ पहले देते थे।
पहले मुसलमान कैंडिडेट को वोट दे सकते थे, अब दंगों के बाद नहीं देंगे?
दंगों के बाद नहीं देंगे।
अच्छा, चुनाव में मुद्दा क्या दिखता है आपको?
चुनाव में जी मुद्दा क्या है, हम तो बीजेपी के आदमी, बीजेपी को वोट देंगे।
आप पहले से ही बीजेपी के साथ? नहीं, अब हो गए।
अब हुई।
पहले किसके साथ?
लोकदल, अजीत सिंह।
अब बदल दिया?
हाँ बदल दिया, क्या करो, उसकी सीट कम निकले।
क्यों, किस लिए बदला?
इसलिए बदला दंगों को मोदी कुछ सुधार ला सके। आप
दंगों में मोदी जी सुधार कैसे लाएंगे?
जिस सरकार बनेगी तो वो दंगे फसाद नहीं होने देगा।
आपको लगता है?
हाँ लगता है।
As the last day for campaigning approaches for one of the most volatile election zones in the country, the BSP MP Kader Rana is making a vitriolic speech, one in which he speaks of enemies everywhere and draws an inflammatory parallel with partition, openly appealing for votes in the name of religion and for protecting the honor of the Muslim community.
मेरे साथियों, सन 47 में नहीं हो पाया ऐसा जैसा आज आपके साथ हुआ है। सन 47 में बार्डरों पे मारे गए, बार्डरों में काटे गए, मोहल्ले में रहने वाले की इज्जत नहीं लूटी, मोहल्ले के पड़ोस के भाई ने पड़ोसी को नहीं काटा। अपने मजहब की या अपने कौम की कोई बात बोलना भी इस हिंदुस्तान में अपराध थोड़ा ही है। साथियों, ये माहौल, ये चुनाव नहीं है, ये चुनाव दूसरे रूप का है, ये हार और जीत का है। अपना विकास दिखा दो साथियों, हार जीत कुछ भी हो, हार जीत कुछ भी हो, उससे कोई मलाल नहीं होगा साथियों, पर अपना विकास दिखा दो। हाँ, मुसलमान में अपनी खुददारी है, मुसलमान में अपना जोश है, मुसलमान अपने बदले को चाह सकता है, मुसलमान अपनी ताकत को लेना जान सकता है, पर अपनी जमीन को बेचना नहीं चाहेगा साथियों।
As night fall, the curtain will come down on this phase of politics. But in the name of Swabhiman and Izzat, as netas on all sides of the divide play on fear and victimhood, the election here has only deepened the divide instead of bridging it. In Muzaffarnagar, with Manoj Thakur, Manu Nair, Numan Siddiqui and Ruby Dhingra, Barkha Dutt for NDTV.
From Muzaffarnagar tonight, we ask. Ji, ek minute, Chandraveer ji. From Muzaffarnagar tonight, we ask whether this is going to be the year of development politics, or does polarization continue to stalk this election campaign? As you saw in that ground report, at least here, the wounds of the riots are still raw and new injuries are being delivered by politicians every day. On a day when the BJP has announced a manifesto that focuses essentially on economics, visions for 100 new cities, what about Hindutva? In the manifesto, it gets a half-page mention. But what about the politics of polarization that are playing out here in Western UP, that not just the BJP and Amit Shah find themselves in the middle of a storm, but all political parties find themselves accused of playing the politics of polarization? What is this election all about? Development or polarized polls? Let's introduce our guest this evening. With me here at this dhaba that we are sitting on is one of the well-known lawyers of Muzaffarnagar, Chandraveer Singh. We'll get a perspective from him in a few minutes. But first, let's get a national political reaction. We're joined from the Samajwadi Party by Gaurav Bhatia. We're joined by well-known independent commentator Shahid Siddiqui, who's with Nai Dunya. From the Congress, we're joined by C.R. Kesavan. And from Bengal tonight, we're far away here in Muzaffarnagar, but joining us from Bengal tonight, where Chandan Mitra is, of course, contesting his own election. Senior leader of the party from the BJP, Chandan Mitra, joins us now. Chandan, I'd like to start with you. Explain to us this manifesto that has got a lot of praise today from a lot of different quarters. It's a very detailed manifesto. It has a vision for India. It focuses essentially on development. Issues like the Ram Mandir and cow protection and Ram Setu are all, literally towards the end of the manifesto in half a page. So on the one hand, you have the BJP prioritizing development politics over identity politics. How do you reconcile this with the controversy that Amit Shah, known to be a close aide of Narendra Modi, finds himself here in Uttar Pradesh?
No, see, I don't know what this whole controversy about Amit Shah is, because if he has said
that the time to take revenge through the ballot box, or rather the ballot button, has come. Frankly speaking, I know that he's been booked by the Election Commission, but I see nothing wrong in suggesting that the revenge for all that has happened should be taken through the ballot rather than through any other means. What is wrong with it?
But Chandan, you say there's nothing wrong, but he could have used the word badlav instead of badla. The fact is he used the word badla. You see, badlav is change. You vote for change, but badla is revenge.
No, but badla, he is saying that badla through the ballot, revenge through the ballot. Is there anything wrong with that? You tell me. Barkha, seriously, I mean, so many things are said during election, and if he had said, iska badla lijiye, that could have entailed violence or incitement to mobs or whatever. But badla through the, at the polling booth, I see nothing wrong. It is a kind of thing that has been said by many people in the past. I first remember in my childhood, Kamraj, K. Kamraj, that very tall leader of the Congress, had said that we will avenge our the opposition's claims at the ballot polling booth. I think this is a perfectly legitimate use of the term badla, and since he has not done anything to encourage or incite violence, I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. Election Commission has its own compulsions, but frankly speaking, I think Amit Shah is entirely within his rights.
Okay, Chandan, we'll a strong defense of Amit Shah, and we'll get to the manifesto in just a moment. But Gaurav Bhatia, let's bring you in. You've heard what Chandan Mitra has said. Now, Azam Khan, your most controversial leader, is today making a speech in Western UP, and he's calling Amit Shah Gunda number 1. Now, isn't the problem that Muslim leaders actually are in no position to criticize the BJP for what they see as inflammatory speeches by the BJP leaders, whether by Amit Shah or other people, because their own leaders, people like Azam Khan, are so irresponsible in the kind of language that they use themselves. They're being as inflammatory, whether it's Kader Rana of the BSP, who today has openly asked Muslims to vote in the name of religion for him, or Azam Khan, who's calling Amit Shah Gunda number 1. Gaurav.
Barkha, first of all, this giving of inflammatory speeches, we know that the candidates that have been fielded by the BJP in this sensitive region, which was riot affected, are all accused and charge sheets have been filed. Then we hear Mr. Amit Shah. He was only sent to Uttar Pradesh to have this communal violence and speeches which are inflammatory in nature. And
But
he's
should
doing
your,
his
but should your leader be calling him Gunda number 1? But Gaurav, Amit Shah is facing an election commission notice. Shouldn't Azam Khan also face an election commission notice?
Yeah, Mr. Amit Shah is a person who has been charge sheeted in a murder case, has been involved in cases of fake encounters, and also in the Godhra riots. His role has been very dubious. Now, more importantly, Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav today was in Saharanpur, and what did Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav say? He gave no inflammatory speech. He said the Samajwadi Party government would provide the healing touch to the riot victims. We can't take away your pain, but at least we can give relief and support to the family members of the persons who've lost their lives.
Azam Khan... Okay, so we're not going to get both of you to agree on this. Chandan, I'll allow you a one-sentence rebuttal, and then I have to open it up to the Congress and Shahid, please. Chandan, the point you're hearing from Gaurav is there's nothing wrong in using a word like Gunda for Amit Shah.
Well, that I'm sure the law of the land debars this kind of personal invective. Personal invective. Just 1 minute, Gaurav. I heard you patiently. Personal invective and calling somebody a Gunda number 1 is definitely a term of abuse, totally unparliamentary, and I'm sure action will be taken. But I'm amused that Mr. Gaurav Bhatia even dares to bring in the name of Mulayam Singh Yadav, who was dancing with Bollywood starlets while the victims of Muzaffarnagar.
Mr. Chandan Mitra, why don't you speak for the BJP first? I asked you a question, and you
about-
can reply. You can reply to that question. I wanted to know these persons have been charge sheeted in Muzaffarnagar riots case. You don't want to talk about your own party now?
Muzaffarnagar, Mr. Mulayam Singh.
Yes,
was
now you rewarded them by making them Lok Sabha candidates.
No,
okay.
Hang on.
Okay, I think you both had your say.
What Mr. Mulayam Singh was
You
doing,
not
everybody
answer
knows,
my question.
everybody has seen.
You don't
And
talk
so
about your
kindly
own party.
don't
You want to
shed-
first discuss
Don't
the
shed
Samajwadi
crocodile
Party.
tears.
Okay.
Don't shed crocodile tears
Okay,
for the
Chandan
victims
Mitra.
of Muzaffarnagar.
I think the people
when
of
you had no
Muzaffarnagar
concern
and
for them
Shamli
when they were actually
know
dying.
who is a well-wisher of theirs and who is shedding crocodile tears or is just giving
Okay, Gaurav
inflammatory
Bhatia,
speech,
Chandan Mitra, you
is
both had your
fielding
say.
charge-sheeted candidates.
Gaurav Bhatia, Gaurav, I'm going to interrupt here. Both of you have had your say. The other guests are waiting. C.R. Kesavan, the Congress would love to make Amit Shah the issue instead of the BJP manifesto. Sonia Gandhi has given an unprecedented, sharp reaction to the BJP manifesto. Your leaders like Mr. Chidambaram are saying, oh, the truth of the Hindutva agenda is now out after this manifesto. But the truth is that the identity politics gathers half a page in this manifesto. One. Two, hasn't the Congress lost the moral right to preach to anyone about polarizing politics the moment you go to Imam Bukhari to seek votes?
First thing, I'll talk about this manifesto, which has the most dubious distinction in history of being the manifesto released after the people have voted in this country. This infamy will be there, etched in history forever, and this reveals that the BJP is not policy-centric or concerned about the people, it's more personality-centric. And the personality of the Prime Ministerial candidate is playing out. I just want, before I come to Imam Bukhari, I just want to ask one question about, Amit Shah. It's not just what he said, it's where he said and who he was with, Mr. Suresh Rana and Muzaffarnagar. And look at the candidates BJP has put up. Bhartendra Singh in Bijnor, it is a riot accused Muzaffarnagar, Hukum Singh in Kairana, Sanjeev Balyan in Muzaffarnagar. And let me ask one question, Barka. This happened 7 months before. Is there any record that Shri Narendra Modi ji even uttered one word on the Muzaffarnagar riots? Any empathy, any sympathy, any anguish? You don't even have one statement from him. He has not visited. Srimati Sonia Gandhi, Manmohan Singh ji and Shri Rahul Gandhi visited the place immediately. And Shri Rahul Gandhi came and visited the relief camps in Shamli. Mr. Narendra Modi ji has not uttered one word. That is why Amit Shah ji's statement, that is why Amit Shah ji's statement assumes importance. Because Mr. Amit Shah is the conscience keeper of Mr. Narendra Modi, and people perceive that his statement is a proxy statement made for Mr. Narendra Modi. If that is not so, why does he not contribute or even utter one word on Muzaffarnagar? There is not even one record.
Mr. Amit Shah has not been charge sheeted. Mr. Amit Shah is not charge sheeted, and therefore don't make absurd claims about his alleged involvement in murder, loot, etc., etc. Whereas your people are all
I'm talking about Modi ji making a statement on Muzaffarnagar. I'm talking about Modi ji not making a statement on Muzaffarnagar.
Look, this is not in Modi ji's state. This is
he's a Prime Ministerial candidate. He's contesting in Uttar Pradesh. It's a symbolic battle for Uttar Pradesh, and he doesn't.
It is run by your associate party. And I would like to remind you of the kind of statements Mr. Rajiv Gandhi made after 1984. Thank God.
Oh, please, let's talk about Muzaffarnagar, sir.
Makes those statements.
Let's talk about Muzaffarnagar.
Yes, after 84,
Chandan, do you want to quickly respond on Narendra Modi not commenting on the Muzaffarnagar riots and the riot accused here actually getting tickets today? I saw a rally where Hukum Singh was co-campaigning with Suresh Rana. There is, so the fact is that, and by the way, the BSP sitting member of Parliament, Kader Rana, is also been charge sheeted in the riots. This is not specific to the BJP, but in this entire region, there is something about the fact that every candidate has a riot shadow.
Yes, they do. There has been
Barka, I just want to say one thing.
Every party.
Can I?
So I don't think anybody has a right to accuse the other.
Okay, Kesavan, give me a second. I just want to get Shahid in here.
Barka,
Shahid, this is an area you know very well.
Rajinder Sacharji on March 19th said, he was speaking at a forum for democracy and communal amity, and he mentioned these 4 candidates and said it's shameful and unfortunate. And he says it shows the psychology of these parties. This is said by a former Chief Justice. And the clear question here is, Mr. Narendra Modi ji has no moral grounding to contest in Uttar Pradesh, but he doesn't even make a statement on Muzaffarnagar.
Rajinder Sachar is not the last word. Is not the last word on any riot. I'm sorry. Who is he? I don't accept his authority.
Modi ji never utters a word on Muzaffarnagar.
Why should I accept his authority?
May I bring in Shahid? Shahid. One, this is an area that you know very well, where I am tonight, Muzaffarnagar, West Uttar Pradesh. Second, your tweets through the day have said that the BJP manifesto today is positive. You have said that the BJP manifesto has largely not focused on identity politics. It's largely kept its focus on development, on a modern vision for aspirational India. Where do you place what's happening with the BJP nationally, trying to keep it all on Vikas, with what's happening here in West UP? Of course, as I said, it's not just the BJP. Kader Rana is also charge-sheeted in the riots cases. How do you juxtapose what's happened with Amit Shah with the larger message of the BJP manifesto, Shahid Siddiqui?
Barkha, in India, politics, there are shades and shades and shades. So you can't see things in black and white. And what is happening on ground now is what you are seeing now, but we have been seeing for decades together. There have been riots. Riots have been exploited by all the parties. There have been crocodile tears on most of the riots. Riot accused have played politics by this party or that party in Bhagalpur or Meerut or Muzaffarnagar or Delhi, elsewhere. So this is not something new, but it is new because now it's coming on the national TV channels. Let me now speak. I've been listening to all of you for last half an hour. Kader Rana or anybody, that kind of speeches were always there. The hate speeches were there at the ground level. I have seen it happening all the time. But now it's good that people can see, and we can now say that this is not acceptable to India today. That is one point.
But do you believe that this election, this election is about development politics? Or what about Amit Shah? Go ahead.
Yes, it is. This election definitely is about development, because the anger against Congress is not because of Modi. The anger against Congress is because of corruption. The anger against Congress is because the aspirational India was expecting much more. It's a crisis of rising expectations in the middle class, which wants a change. And they think that Modi will be able to give that change. His vote is not just for Modi. Modi's vote is for a new India, a modern India, India which can rise above caste.
And where do you fit in Amit Shah with that? Shahid, one line and then I have to... Where do you fit in Mr. Amit Shah's controversy with that?
I'll tell you where he fits in, because it's a transitional phase where you just can't wish away an Amit Shah or a Kader Rana or a Imran Masood, or you can't wish away an Azam Khan. They are all there in our politics right now. Everywhere. You are in Muzaffarnagar, but I see them in every district of the country. And they have been playing their politics.
Yeah.
But we have to sideline them.
Okay.
We just can't allow them to hijack this country and our society.
Okay,
Our politics in the past has been hijacked by them. So that change is there, but it can't. You can't have overnight black and white change. You can't have it black. There are shades, and shades will remain for some time to come. But that has to be sidelined by the people of this country and those who understand where India is going.
Barkha, can I just make a quick comment on the manifesto, please?
Barkha, I would like to bring in that on a day the BJP has issued a most progressive, development-oriented manifesto which steers out away from identity politics. I think it's very unfortunate that some people who belong to the Jurassic age of Indian politics are trying to bring back this issue of identity politics, and they play this identity politics and they see everybody else through the prism of identity politics. I am afraid that the BJP repudiates this completely, and we want to focus only on development and development for all. And believe me, as Shahid said, development is the issue, and people are going to vote on the question of development and not on the kind of backward-looking identity politics that the Samajwadi Party, the Bahujan Samaj Party, and the Congress Party promotes.
Barkha, it is tokenism for Hindus, what BJP manifesto contains. It's just tokenism, and as Congress has tokenism for Muslims all the time. So, and we have to help them get out of this tokenism.
Gaurav Bhatia, go ahead. What is your takeaway from the manifesto? You heard what Chandan Mitra said. He said it is a progressive, development-oriented manifesto. People have done a breakdown of how much time and how much weightage identity politics have gotten. It's half a page. What are you going on about? What about the Samajwadi Party that wanted to withdraw all terror cases only against Muslims, as the BJP would say?
Barkha, I think the half page that you are repeatedly mentioning is destructive and will destroy the constitution. Sometimes one line is meatier than an entire page, and this is what the BJP manifesto is all about. When they talk about Ram Mandir and to find a solution under the constitutional framework, what they forget is the constitutional institution of Supreme Court of India. The matter is pending before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and please also keep in mind the Union of India would have to take a stand in the Supreme Court of India. Now they have already taken a stand in their manifesto. How would they do justice to a particular community which is also a party before the Supreme Court of India?
You cannot mislead public opinion,
half a page
Gaurav,
doesn't matter. Even one line can destroy the entire fabric of the constitution. That is what the BJP has done today.
No, I have to respond to this, Barkha. The BJP's position is very clear.
Go ahead, Chandan.
Either the Supreme Court, either the Supreme Court gives a verdict on the ownership of the land in this matter, and the temple is constructed.
Mr. Chandan Mitra, that is not correct.
The BJP
After the Allahabad High Court gave its verdict, that matter is now pending before the Honorable Supreme Court, and two communities are party before the Supreme Court of India.
That's what I said.
Tomorrow, if the BJP government comes, they have already made their stand clear. Would the other community not be
BJP government cannot. BJP government cannot determine what the Supreme Court will say. Supreme Court will say on its own. Let us wait. Let us wait for the court judgment. Why are you so impatient? Why are you so impatient? Wait for the judgment. Wait for the judgment. And
all right, Gaurav Bhatia, Chandan Mitra. 1 minute. I think you both had your say. Let's get C.R. Kesavan and Shahid Siddiqui in. Mr. Kesavan, you still haven't answered my point about the fact is that all of you are accusing the BJP of polarizing the polls, but I am saying it's an all-party crime. Every single party without exception is guilty of mixing religion with politics. So today you are questioning Amit Shah, but you have not answered what was Sonia Gandhi doing meeting Imam Bukhari. Most Muslim friends of mine say that Imam Bukhari is not somebody, it's patronizing to assume that an Imam is going to influence how anybody votes.
Not at all. See, you see the history of Mr. Shahi Imam. He supported the BSP before, he supported the SP before. Even in this election, he's supporting the Congress and also the TMC in West Bengal. And there is nothing wrong on him calling and, consolidating all the forces against fundamentalist forces, which is what this fight is against. It's a very clear competing vision. On one side, you have polarizing forces, and on the other side, you have people who, want to, uniting forces. So, but the most important, please let me complete, please let me complete. I didn't speak, please. You're interrupting my flow. But let me come back to the main issue here. Today you talked about Uniform Civil Code and also 370. It's very interesting because when you say Uniform Civil Code in 2009, the BJP said they'll form a commission. Here they're directly doing it. And 370 is even more interesting because they never use the word abrogation even during Vajpayee's time. Today they're saying that please let me complete, sir. Sir, let me complete, please. They talk about speaking to all stakeholders, but say we reiterate a commitment to abrogation. What kind of an oxymoron is this? So, and Mr. Narendra Modi's statement today, it's a major Freudian slip. It's a concession of, the insecurity and the unreliability he faces. He said, I don't have any ill will. Will any prime ministerial candidate releasing a manifesto, if it is so much for development, say that I don't have any ill will and I'll do it without ill will? It's clear that the people feel that he cannot be trusted with.
Shahid Siddiqui, you get the last word. Shahid Siddiqui, you get the last word.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is saying, the candidate is saying he has no ill will. It should be welcomed. You should be welcoming him with open arms. That's Mr. Modi. You have shown your greatness by saying you have no ill will. But with the Congress had a nurse ill will for many years.
Chandan, let me come in. Chandan, let me come in.
Yes, Shahid. Last word. I think
Mr. Narendra Modi and this manifesto has disappointed most of these people who are trying to depend on the minority vote, and by creating fear among the minorities, they wanted the vote to come to them lock, stock and barrel. So they seems to be disappointed. ये दुकान बंद हो गई है जो खौफ के और fear के ऊपर चलती थी. If Narendra Modi says I have no ill will, we welcome that. We want him to distance himself from Amit Shah. We want him to come out and say that look, I am going to be a Prime Minister of India, not of the Hindus.
You are saying Mr. Modi would distance himself from Amit Shah?
Mr. Modi will never be Prime Minister of Hindus.
Okay.
He will be the Prime Minister of the whole of India. And he has proved it as a
Amit
Chief
Shah
Minister.
manages the campaign in
Okay.
UP. Amit Shah manages the campaign in
that
UP.
part I don't agree with.
Mr. Shahid Siddiqui.
Congress has Digvijay Singh. Is Rahul Gandhi going to distance himself from Digvijay Singh?
Chandan Mitra, Shahid Siddiqui, C.R. Kesavan, Gaurav Bhatia, we'll have to leave it there. I think this is an example you get of how volatile this campaign actually is. This debate will continue. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get a sense now from our guests here. Very little time. आप लोगों से पूछना चाहूंगी, वहां पर बातचीत हो रही है बीजेपी के मैनिफेस्टो की, जहां पर ज्यादातर फोकस डेवलपमेंट के मुद्दों पर है, जहां आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स है वो आधा पेज है. यहाँ पर ऐसे लगता है फिरोज जी कि सारी ही पार्टीज धर्म और राजनीति को मिला रही हैं. आप क्या कहेंगे, यहाँ के मुद्दे क्या हैं?
जी हाँ, ये सही है कि यहाँ के जो स्थानीय मुद्दे हैं उन्हें तो इन राजनेताओं ने बिल्कुल पीछे छोड़ दिया है.
कोई बात ही नहीं कर रहा.
कोई स्थानीय मुद्दों की कोई बात नहीं कर रहा कि यहाँ पे लोगों की क्या दिक्कतें हैं, क्या परेशानी है. कोई सड़क पानी जगह जगह
आपको लगता है कि सड़क पानी की बात नहीं हो रही, लेकिन यहाँ पे कोई जैसे बीजेपी ने कहा कि ये स्वाभिमान की चुनाव है, ये सड़क की चुनाव नहीं है, लेकिन कादिर राना जो कि वो खुलेआम मुसलमानों से कह रहे हैं आप धर्म के नाम पे हमें वोट दीजिए, तो फर्क क्या हुआ?
नहीं, कोई इसमें पीछे नहीं रहना चाह रहा. वोट हासिल करने के लिए कोई भी पीछे नहीं रहना चाह रहा कि कहीं गंदी भाषा का इस्तेमाल ज्यादा से ज्यादा कर रहे हैं. वोट ज्यादा से ज्यादा
तो सारे नेता एक जैसे,
सारे नेता एक
चंद्रवीर जी आपका क्या बयान?
कहीं कोई
वो कहते हैं कि सारे नेता एक जैसे. बहुत जल्द आप हमें बताइए कि आप क्या मानेंगे कि सारे नेता दंगों के साथ राजनीति खेल रहे हैं?
देखिए, आज सिचुएशन ये है, ये जो मुजफ्फरनगर दंगा है, ये दंगा स्पॉन्सर्ड बाय स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है. सत्ताधारी पार्टी ने दंगा इसलिए कराया कि यहाँ 40% के लगभग मुस्लिम वोटर्स हैं.
तो आप समाजवादी पार्टी को दोषी मानते हैं?
मैं समाजवादी पार्टी को दोषी मानता हूं, और भाजपा का दोष ये रहा कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने जो दंगा पीड़ित थे उनको हेल्प की.
जी.
इस मुजफ्फरनगर में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अलावा किसी ने भी दंगा पीड़ितों की कोई हेल्प नहीं.
तो हम आपसे यही बयान ले पाए, लेकिन हमने आपसे आगे भी बातचीत की. इट्स टाइम नाउ टू लीव यू विद आवर चाय स्टॉप. आवर चाय स्टॉप ऑफ कोर्स straight from the sugarcane fields of Muzaffarnagar, where we ask why politicians are succeeding in dividing the people of Western Uttar Pradesh. We're going to try and talk. Do you believe that the process of selection at the chai shop? Our chai stop today comes to you straight from the sugarcane fields of Muzaffarnagar. Here, over a cup of chai, we're going to ask the people of this area, people who have been divided by both the riots of 2013 and the politics of 2014, what can heal the wounds and what are the major issues in these elections at a time when everyone is talking about governance, about vikas. Is that what matters here, or is it the politics of polarization? Let's get a sense from people here. आपको क्या लगता है यहाँ पर मेन मुद्दा क्या है? देश भर में बात हो रही है कि जो चुनाव है वो विकास पर लड़ा जाना चाहिए, गवर्नेंस पर लड़ा जाना चाहिए, लेकिन यहाँ पर नेता लोगों की भाषण सुने, चाहे किसी भी वो पार्टी के हो, तो धर्म की भी बात आती है, जो दंगे हुए हैं उनकी भी बात आती है. आप लोगों के लिए मुद्दा क्या है?
विकास, डेवलपमेंट. जिसके पास बेहतरीन स्ट्रेटेजी होगी वोट उसे देनी चाहिए. यहाँ पर दंगा है, पर दंगा अब पीछे जा चुका है, पर जिसके पास बेहतरीन स्ट्रेटेजी है वोट उसे ही देनी चाहिए, और हम तो जो युवा हैं वोट उसे ही देंगे.
आपको लगता है कि जो दंगे हुए यहाँ पे वो एक राजनीतिक मुद्दा है?
नहीं, वो तो राजनीतिक मुद्दा नहीं है. बस दंगे, जो लीडरशिप है वो लीडरशिप में कुछ कमी थी, लीडरशिप के कुछ रॉन्ग डिसीजन थे जो इसी वजह से दंगा हुआ. जैसे यहाँ के डीएम और एसएसपी को हटाना,
वो एक गलती थी. तो इनका कहना है कि भाई ये पॉलिटिक्स से लेना देना नहीं है, दंगों को और राजनीति को एक दूसरे से दूर रखना चाहिए. लेकिन सर ऐसा हो नहीं रहा. सभी भाषणों में वेस्टर्न यूपी में आप किसी भी पार्टी का देखें, बीजेपी देख लीजिए, बसपा देख लीजिए, सपा देख लीजिए, कांग्रेस देख लीजिए, जी ये जो दंगे हैं ये पोलिटिसाइज तो हो रहे हैं.
जी जी जी, नेचुरली, बिल्कुल. एक्चुअली जो दंगा हुआ है पॉलिटिकल हुआ है. अगर ये हमारा प्रशासन शासन चाहता तो दंगा कभी नहीं होना था.
मैं कुछ और पूछ रही हूँ. मैं कह रही हूँ आज 2014 में दंगों को एक चुनावी मुद्दा होना चाहिए.
दंगों को होना नहीं चाहिए, हम मानते, लेकिन है मुजफ्फरनगर में. तो मुजफ्फरनगर में है. मुजफ्फरनगर में है, क्योंकि इतना दंगा हुआ है, इतने फ्रिक्शंस आए आपस में, जो टाइम लगेगा दूर होने में।
मैं आप लोगों से पूछना चाहूंगी, आप में से जो लोग मानते हैं कि जो दंगे हैं वो एक राजनीतिक मुद्दा, एक चुनावी मुद्दा बन चुके हैं, प्लीज रेज योर हैंड, कि ये बन चुके हैं, ये अच्छी बात है क्या?
नहीं, बिल्कुल अच्छी बात नहीं। ये हर लोकसभा चुनाव से हर एक 6 महीने पहले हमेशा होते हैं। 2009 में भी हुए थे तब, क्योंकि किसी रिपोर्टर की डेथ नहीं हुई थी, तो इसलिए ये इतना पॉपुलर नहीं हो पाया। लेकिन अगर कभी उस टाइम पे, अगर 2008 के टाइम पे भी अगर किसी रिपोर्टर की अगर बाय चांस,
आप कह रहे मीडिया फोकस इसलिए क्योंकि मीडिया के अपने लोग इसमें
यस मैम, मीडिया का एक आगे IBN 7 के अगर रिपोर्टर की डेथ,
मीडिया की बात अगर आप एक तरफ रखें, IBN 7 की जिस रिपोर्टर की आपने बात की, आज 2014 में, क्योंकि आप लोग, मैं जानती हूँ यहाँ पर हम हर कम्युनिटी के लोगों को यहाँ पे लाए हैं अपने चाय स्टॉप के लिए। यहाँ पे हमारे जाट भाई भी हैं, मुसलमान भाई भी हैं। आप क्या बोलेंगे कि लोगों के बीच में है दरार क्या आज?
मैडम, यहाँ पे दरार नहीं है, यहाँ पे मुजफ्फरनगर जो है मोहब्बत नगर है, लेकिन इन नेताओं ने मुजफ्फरनगर को नफरत का नगर बना दिया। इन लोगों ने राजनीति मुद्दा इन लोगों का, ये वोट बटोरने के चक्कर में हम लोगों को लड़ाते हैं, जबकि हम ऐसे लोग हैं कि हम आपस में मिलजुल कर रहना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ये लोग नहीं रहने देते। और कोई भी मुद्दा,
आप कह रहे हैं सब नेताओं की गलती
है। और ये लोग क्या करते हैं कि जब भी कोई विकास की बात नहीं करेंगे, वो मोदी जी उसकी क्या नाम, कांग्रेस की टांग खींचेंगे, कांग्रेस मोदी की टांग खींचेगी, विकास की कोई बात नहीं करता, सिर्फ जो है वोट बटोरने के लिए।
पर इसमें क्या सभी पार्टीज को आप गिल्टी मानेंगे? क्योंकि मैंने तो जितने भाषण सुने हैं ना, मुझे लगता है सारी पार्टी एक जैसे ही है। जहां तक दंगों का बात है, सब अपनी अपनी राजनीति खेल रहे हैं।
जहां तक मुझे लगता है कि दंगों का जो ये मैटर है वो एक बिल्कुल पॉलिटिकल मैटर है, और जितने भी ये आप सुन रहे हैं, कांग्रेस का बयान आया, इधर से बीजेपी का, इधर से होगा कोई रिवेंज में, उसमें आम आदमी जो है वो पिस जाता है। वो लोग अपनी रोटियां सेकते हैं और यहाँ पे आम आदमी जो है सिक जाता है। यहाँ पे जैसे मुजफ्फरनगर जो है वो बिल्कुल मोहब्बत नगर उसको कहा जाता है, तो उसको बिल्कुल यहाँ पे जो है, खेत अगर मुसलमान का होता है तो हिंदू के यहाँ का पानी आ जाता है। तो इसमें बहुत ही अजीम शहर है ये, लेकिन यहाँ पे धर्म के नाम पर जो राजनीति हो रही है वो मुझे बिल्कुल भी
आपको पसंद नहीं है?
बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है। यहाँ पे जो है आदमी जो है वो अपने लिए ना जी करके लोगों के लिए जीता है।
आपने ये बहुत अच्छी बात की कि भाई गन्ने का खेत है, गन्ने के खेत में हम खड़े हैं, हिंदुओं का खेत हो और मुसलमान का पानी है। तो ये मोहब्बत नगर जिसको आप लोग कहते हैं, ये नफरत नगर क्यों बन गया? आपसे पूछूंगी। यहाँ पर बयानबाजी को लेके भी काफी कंट्रोवर्सी है। अमित शाह जी ने एक स्पीच की, इलेक्शन कमीशन से नोटिस आ गया। कादिर राना की स्पीच हमने सुनी और उसमें भी बड़ा ही इन्फ्लेमेटरी कमेंट्स थे, उसमें भी धर्म के नाम पर वोट मांगा जा रहा था। तो किसी पार्टी में कोई फर्क दिखता है आपको?
देखिए मैडम, हिंदुस्तान में पहले भी भिन्न भिन्न जगहों पर दंगे हुए हैं, लेकिन मुजफ्फरनगर का जो दंगा था ये सपा सरकार का प्रायोजित दंगा था। दंगा होने की कोई गुंजाइश नहीं थी।
आप सपा को ब्लेम करते हैं इसके लिए?
मैं एक्सक्लूसिवली सपा को ब्लेम इसलिए करता हूं कि एक बहुत मामूली घटना को लेकर के मुजफ्फरनगर को आग में झोंक दिया गया। बहुत मामूली घटना थी मुजफ्फरनगर में, और उसका पॉलिटिकल पहलू ये था कि इस बेल्ट में जाट और मुस्लिम, ये दो बहुत बड़े फैक्टर हैं। जाट और मुस्लिम डोमिनेटेड ये बेल्ट है। जाट और मुस्लिम्स को अलग करने का ये षड्यंत्र मुलायम सिंह यादव ने रचा था।
आप उनको अकेले ही दोषी मानेंगे कि बाकी पार्टी को?
देखिए, शुरुआत मुलायम सिंह ने की और उसके बाद इसमें सब लोगों ने जितना जो हो सकता था अपनी रोटियां सेकने का प्रयास किया।
तो आप कहते हैं समाजवादी पार्टी सबसे ज्यादा दोषी रहे। आप क्या इसमें कहेंगे? समाजवादी पार्टी को आप सबसे ज्यादा दोषी मानेंगे?
नहीं, खाली समाजवादी पार्टी नहीं, सभी पार्टियों ने ये झगड़ा कराया। और अब ये जो इलेक्शन आ रहा है, इसमें अभी फिलहाल के टाइम पे ही आज उन्होंने वो अपना घोषणा पत्र जारी किया, उसमें राम मंदिर अभी याद आ गया। पहले से कहाँ थे ये लोग? आज राम मंदिर याद आ गया। अभी अगर बीजेपी की सरकार आएगी तो
बीजेपी कहती है कि भाई अब जिम्मेवारी तो थी समाजवादी पार्टी की, सरकार तो
नहीं थी। तो झगड़े तो अगर वो थे तो इनमें ये भी तो शामिल थे, सबने कराई तो झगड़े, इनकी तो कोई एक का काम तो नहीं है।
तो आप कहते हैं मैनिफेस्टो में राम मंदिर का जिक्र क्यों आया? वो तो पिछली बारी भी आया था। आप इसमें क्या कहेंगे? वो कहते हैं कि आप सिर्फ समाजवादी पार्टी को दोष क्यों दें?
देखिए मैडम, मैंने आपसे कहा कि शुरुआत होती है, यहाँ एक घटना को लेकर के ये सब मुजफ्फरनगर को दंगे में चपेट में लिया गया। अगर समय रहते कार्रवाई की जाती तो मुजफ्फरनगर में कभी कोई दंगा हिंदू मुस्लिम का नहीं हुआ और ना ही कभी देहात में ये दंगे हुए। ये मैं इसको घटना नहीं मानता। जो देहात में ये हत्याएं हुई हैं, दोनों पक्षों की हत्याएं हुई हैं, ये एक दुर्घटना थी। घटना नहीं थी।
आप मोहब्बत की बात करते हैं, यहाँ दो दोस्त हमारे पुराने हैं, यहाँ बार बार बात हो रही है कि हिंदू मुसलमान आपस में दोस्त रहे हैं, ये दो दोस्त हमारे इनकी पुरानी दोस्ती है। लेकिन मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहूंगी, हम ऐसे भी लोगों से मिले आज जिन्होंने कहा कि मुसलमानों से मिले, उन्होंने कहा हम अपने गांव वापस नहीं जाएंगे, और हिंदुओं से मिले, उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं वो यहाँ ना ही आए तो ठीक है। ऐसे भी कहानियां सुनने को मिलती हैं, ये सच्चाई हो गई है पिछले साल के बाद। पहले आप दोनों अपने बारे में कुछ बताइए, आप कब से दोस्त हैं? आप बताइए।
सूरज मलिक।
और आपका नाम?
मेरा सैयद मुजम्मिल हुसैन, ये जाट है, मैं मुस्लिम हूँ।
कब से दोस्त हैं आप लोग?
करीबन 26 साल से हैं हम, और दोनों हम दैनिक सूरज केसरी नाम का न्यूज़पेपर हम निकालते हैं।
आप दोनों इकट्ठे अखबार?
जी, दैनिक अखबार है सूरज केसरी, और हम साथ साथ ही पढ़े हैं, साथ ही हैं, और बिजनेस साथ साथ है, और कोई फर्क हमें महसूस नहीं हुआ। बरखा जी, मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा, कवाल की जो घटना हुई थी उसमें जो हत्यारे थे तो उन हत्यारों को छुड़ा दिया गया। असल में पंचायत होने वाली थी उस टाइम के, भाई पंचायत नहीं होगी अगर हत्यारे जेल चले गए। हमारे कुछ नेताओं ने हत्यारों को थाने से छुड़ा लिया, अगले दिन पंचायत हो गई तो दंगे हो गए। तो मेरा मानना यह है, अगर उन हत्यारों को नहीं छुड़ाया जाता
तो शायद अलग चीज,
बिल्कुल दंगे ना होते। और ये दंगों की देन है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरी तौर से इन्वॉल्व है दंगों में।
आप भारतीय जनता पार्टी को ब्लेम करते हैं, हमारे वकील साहब बैठे हैं वो समाजवादी पार्टी को ब्लेम करते हैं। आप में से कौन समझता है, एक यहाँ पे एक शो ऑफ हैंड्स लेते हैं, आप में से कौन समझता है कि सारी ही पार्टीज इसमें शामिल है? सारी ही पार्टी, किसी को लगता है किसी का ज्यादा कंप्लेंट है, किसी को लगता है, आपको लगता है सारी ही पार्टी शामिल?
अगर हम झगड़े और दंगे की बात करें तो जितनी भी पॉलिटिक्स पार्टियां हैं वो वोट को लेने के लिए आपस में दंगे करवाती हैं, और विकास और डेवलप के नाम पर कुछ ऐसा नहीं करती हैं। और अपने जो यहाँ सीनियर्स हैं, जो सिटीजन हैं, मैं उनसे आग्रह करूंगा कि जो रिलीजन, कास्ट, इसके नाम पर वोट मांगते हैं उसको बंद कर दे। और कहीं अगर ऐसा होता रहा, जो हमारी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन आने वाली है वो उसकी तरफ, उसके लिए सब जहर बो रहे हैं, वो नष्ट हो जाए पूरी तरह से।
बिल्कुल, आपने ठीक बात बोली। आप क्या बोलेंगे इसमें?
मैम, मुजफ्फरनगर के दंगे में तो हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का लीडर इन्वॉल्व था, चाहे वो बसपा से ले लो, चाहे सपा से ले लो, चाहे भाजपा से ले लो। मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहूंगा, आपने तो खुद देखे होंगे कि हर लीडर का बयान अलग अलग था।
और कांग्रेस का जो बयान आया कि हाँ ऐसा है कि लिंक्स हैं, वो भी लोगों को पसंद नहीं आया, मतलब वो भी। तो आप सारी पार्टीज को एक तरह से शामिल मानेंगे? मेरा बिल्कुल समय खत्म हो गया है, ऐसा कोई जो अभी तक नहीं बोले, आप बोलिए।
मैम, मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये टोटल जो अब चल रहा है, अब यहाँ पर दंगों की राजनीति चल रही है, टोटल
दंगों की,
क्योंकि राजनीति, क्योंकि मुद्दे नेताओं के पास खत्म हो चुके हैं, विकास का मुद्दा पुराना हो चुका है, यहाँ पर दंगा हुआ है। अब आप देखिए, पहले समाजवादी पार्टी ने दंगे के मेन जिम्मेदार है, उसके बाद कल मुलायम सिंह यहाँ पर मुजफ्फरनगर आए, उन्होंने क्या किया, एक तरफा मोहम्मदों मतलब मुस्लिमों को और हिंदुओं को बांटने का काम कर रहे हैं। उनका बयान आपने सुना है कि मुस्लिम हथियार बनाने भी जानते हैं, इसका मतलब हिंदू और मुस्लिम को बांटने का काम समाजवादी
पार्टी। तो आप कह रहे हैं कि राजनीति, अच्छा अलग अलग व्यूज में, आपको लास्ट वर्ड दूंगी। आप दोनों दोस्ती के एक तरह से इमेज है हम लोगों के लिए, आपका लास्ट वर्ड, आप नेताओं से क्या कहेंगे?
नेताओं से मेरा यही कहना है, सामाजिक सौहार्द बना के रखें, सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द बनाएं, और जितने भी सौहार्द है उनका इस्तेमाल करें, और इधर उधर की बातों में भेदभाव की और ये लड़ाने की ये जो राजनीति है इसको त्याग दें, और जो गुड गवर्नेंस के सुशासन के ऊपर बात करें, विकास के ऊपर बात करें, अपनी नीतियों को लेकर आए जनता के बीच में, जनता के लिए मूलभूत जो समस्याएं हैं, उनके मूल मुद्दे हैं, उन पर फोकस करें, उनके लिए काम करें, तभी उस प्रत्याशी को जनता उनको चुनना चाहिए, और वही अच्छा प्रत्याशी साबित होगा।
अगर आप जो कहते अगर वो होता तो शायद कभी दंगे ही नहीं होते। बट द फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज, चले आपको नेताओं से क्या कहेंगे आप कि ये जो लड़ाई लोगों में भी होती है कैसे बंद होगी? चाचा,
ये तो अनाप शनाप कहना किसी के बारे में कुछ जी, मतलब एक दूसरे के बारे में जी। हमें भी 60-65 साल हो गए, पहले भी चुनाव हुए।
ऐसा कभी नहीं देखा, पहले
ऐसा कभी नहीं देखा कि इनकी जबान पर लगाम ही नहीं किसी ने था,
किसी की जुबान पे लगाम नहीं। आपने असली बात बोली, आपने सच में असली बात बोली, बहुत अच्छी बात बोली कि किसी की जुबान पर लगाम ही नहीं है। बहुत आपने बढ़िया बात बोली। दैट द पॉइंट ऑफ द मैटर इज, यहाँ तालियां बज रही है चाचा के लिए कि किसी की नेता की जुबान पर लगाम नहीं है, एंड दैट इज एग्जैक्टली द प्रॉब्लम, दैट व्हाइल द नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स इज बीइंग फ्रेम्ड इन द टेम्पलेट ऑफ गवर्नेंस इश्यूज, हियर ऑन द ग्राउंड द पीपल आर सेइंग दैट local politicians have no control over what they say, and that is why every speech becomes so contentious. Divided opinions on which party is to blame for the riots or takes the greater share of blame, but an agreement among the people here that it is politicians and politics that is dividing people and not religion or their own shared history. That's it on Chai Stops today from the sugarcane fields of Muzaffarnagar.
try and talk. Do you believe that the process of selection at the chai shop